The Boston Bruins are reportedly going to be entertaining trade talks once again with the Calgary Flames this offseason, and they should be targeting a scoring winger alongside that right-hand shot defenseman.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans? I am Ian McLaren. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, and on this episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, we are looking at trade possibilities between the Boston Bruins and the Calgary Flames, a team that is reportedly in sell mode heading into this offseason with only a handful of players that are deemed untouchable. We will also do our Hampus Lindholm, Noah Khan themed season review, and also look at how some of the Boston Bruins players are faring so far at the 2026 World Championship. Thanks for your patience. Yesterday, it was a holiday up here in Canada. I know Memorial Day is coming up for all you guys down in the States. Yesterday, it was Victoria Day up here in Canada, so I took the time to get our deck set up, enjoy the sunshine. It was super hot this weekend and really felt like summer. And speaking of summer, the Boston Bruins are expected this summer to make some decent additions to the roster. There are some clear holes on this team, namely right-hand shot defensemen and scoring wingers. Of course, the number one center position is also up for grabs, but they do have some internal options that could be given the chance to grab that, although maybe a bit too early in their careers for that role, like a Fraser Minton or a James Higgins. We know the Bruins were in trade talks with the Calgary Flames at some point this season, as Rasmus Andersson was the target there. He was later traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Bruins, though, according to Fluto Shinzawa, could revisit trade talks with the Flames. In an article he posted last week called "What a Dream Bruins Offseason Would Look Like," part of that included trading Mason Lohrei, who was a healthy scratch to finish the playoffs, along with Matt Poitras and Chris Pelosi to the Flames in exchange for Zach Whitecloud. He's a 29-year-old defenseman who would bring stability to the right side at a pretty reasonable $2.75 million AAV, although I'm not exactly sure how long that contract would last. We know that Poitras and Lohrei, well, we don't know, but we can assume or infer from reports that those two players were at the center of any trade package involving Rasmus Andersson. Whitecloud has $2,750,000 left on his contract per year over the next 2 seasons, which is very affordable for a player of his skill set. Not a big points getter. He was limited to 31 games this season with only 10 assists to his name, but he has had some pretty solid seasons defensively in the past as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights before joining the Flames. Actually, sorry, this past season he had, that was 31 games with the Flames, 47 games with Vegas prior to that. So he had 17 points total in those 78 games. Now, Whitecloud would be a pretty nice addition for the Bruins, for sure. He is a guy that would bring some pretty good depth to the table for the Boston Bruins. Yes, the Bruins would be giving up 2 pretty good young pieces, possibly 3 if you consider Pelosi to be a top prospect, but Lohrei's been a mainstay on the Bruins roster for the last couple of seasons, playoffs aside, and Poitras is right up there in terms of skill set with the Fraser Minton when it comes to playing center. But what they would get in Whitecloud is a guy who could, at the very least, lock down the third pair alongside Nikita Zadorov. He's a Stanley Cup champion, exceptional penalty killing skills, high volume shot blocking ability, and a heavy right shot that anchors the defensive zone. Lohrei, especially after a playoff run where he found himself on the outside looking in as a healthy scratch, makes sense if the coaching staff wants a more reliable 200-foot profile over Lohrei's more high risk, high reward offensive puck moving style. And Lohrei is a left-hand shot. The Bruins do have a good amount of left-hand shot defensemen already on the roster. You look at Jonathan Aspero, although you could, still use an upgrade on the top pair there. Hampus Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, just to name a few, along with Mason Lohrei. So when it comes to Zach Whitecloud, he's a guy that could draw a lot of attention on the open market, or not on the open market, but on the trade market. And for the Bruins to give up Lohrei, Poitras would be a pretty sound investment in a guy who was part of the Rasmus Andersson trade. Calgary ultimately made a deal with Vegas, and Whitecloud was a guy who came back in that deal. He wasn't just a quiet depth piece in Calgary either. He stepped right up into a major top four role there, eating massive minutes, 23-minute mark per night, playing a crucial shutdown role. And he even wore the A for the Flames down the stretch of the regular season, proving how quickly he integrated himself into the leadership core. 29 years old, he's in his physical prime, 100 hits, 100 block shots this season while playing top-tier penalty kill minutes. And his heavy right shot defensive first profile is exactly what the Bruins need and covet right now. And he's also competing for Team Canada at the World Championship. We'll take a look at Fraser Minton and others' contributions over there. Now, for me, I think they should also be looking at another player in Calgary, namely Joel Farabee. Like I said, the Flames are looking to move anybody not named Zane Parekh, pretty much, or Dustin Wolf. And Farabee is a guy that they could benefit from, to be sure. He's a top 6 proven goal scorer, and he is a guy who, with another change of scenery, could thrive in Boston on a top line with, say, Alex Lindholm and David Pastrnak, or on the second line with Pavel Zacha, should the Bruins trade Casey Middlestat at some point this season in a bigger deal for a first-line center. Now, when it comes to Joel Farabee, he was a first-round pick. He's in that sweet spot in his career where he's moved past the developmental phase, proven, reliable, top 6 producer. He had 20 goals, 50, 60-point pace this season. Not a power play specialist who inflates his numbers, but he does the vast majority of his damage at even strength, which is exactly where the Bruins need to generate more offense. I kind of consider him to be kind of a Morgan Geekie type player. And we saw how Morgan Geekie ballooned and blew up the past couple of years. That's what could happen here with Joel Farabee, an incredibly smart, high IQ hockey player. Doesn't need to dominate the puck to be effective. He excels at winning puck battles along the wall, driving the net, finding that soft ice. And if you put him on a line with a premier playmaker, either a center that the Bruins are able to bring in or a David Pastrnak who just developed those skills, he knows exactly how to finish plays. He can play both sides of the ice. He's passed some neck injuries that bothered him in the past. Durable, physical minutes without missing a beat. A player's trade value is often dictated as much by the salary cap as it is by their on-ice talent. His contract is a massive asset. $5 million through 2028. With the cap expected to continue to rise, that $5 million becomes extremely efficient. And because this deal runs through his age 28 season, whoever owns his contract gets the absolute peak prime of his career without paying for that inevitable decline in the 30s unless they decide to re-up. For me, if you allow Victor Arvidsson to walk and bring in a guy like Joel Farabee, there's higher ceiling there for sure. Now, Calgary acquired him from the Flyers alongside Morgan Frost, and he's become an important part of Calgary's culture as well, young enough to be part of their next window. And a bidding war could be possible as other teams try to grab his services. But could you tack him onto a Whitecloud trade by adding a first-round pick? If the Bruins could get Farabee, Whitecloud for Lohrei, Poitras, a first, Pelosi, maybe another prospect in there as well, that would really help to improve this Boston Bruins team. So Whitecloud would be nice. Bringing in Whitecloud and Farabee would be a real coup this season for the Boston Bruins. Now, speaking of defensive help, Hampus Lindholm, not his best season. We're going to do his Noah Khan themed season review here as the podcast continues. The hunt for the Stanley Cup is down to the final four, and you can trade every game on Kalshi. And not just every game, but also the two remaining series and the Stanley Cup final. If you go over to Kalshi.com, you will see that the Colorado Avalanche are trading at 41%, Carolina Hurricanes at 38%, the Vegas Golden Knights at 13%, and the Montreal Canadiens at 11%. The playoffs, as the series go on, the numbers move in real time, and you can buy in or out of each of those positions at any time. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. As the probabilities change, you can buy in and out, and for a limited time, download the Kalshi app, use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. That's Kalshi at Kalshi. You can trade on anything. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. They help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute we've been talking, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to their worldwide data. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, it's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Boston Bruins. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply, but if you need to hire, it's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Boston Bruins part of your daily routine. Thank you for helping make Locked On the number one sports podcast network. And I encourage you to check out our Everydayer Club. You get for $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes delivered straight to your podcast feed. And you will also get an invite to our listeners-only Discord server where we are continuing the chat. Please check out lockedonbruins.supercast.com or click the link in the show notes to learn more. This offseason, we've been doing some Noah Khan themed player reviews. I don't know about you, but I cannot stop listening to his new album. And today we are focusing on Hampus Lindholm. Now, this guy did not have the strongest season for the Boston Bruins, and he did not look good at all at times during the Stanley Cup playoffs either. We can't forget that he's coming off a pretty serious injury, and not to be rude, but at his age, that can take some time to recover from. The song that I am picking for him is one called Carlos Song. Not to make too much out of it, but Brandon Carlo, of course, was his old defensive partner. But when it comes to this song, it's rooted in nostalgia, deals with ghosts of the past, trying to find your footing in a place that feels a bit different after a long absence, for example. And for Hampus, the lost year of his knee surgery is that ghost. Coming back from a major structural injury requires relearning how to trust your body. He was a bit in and out of the lineup with lower body maintenance. We were worried that it was a reoccurrence of that injury, trying to find his pace under Marco Sturm. And the song captures the exact hesitancy, trying to illuminate your path forward when the ground beneath you feels a bit frozen, quite literally in the case of hockey players, right? In the grinding nature of the physicality recovery in October, he briefly stepped away from the team for one of the best reasons possible, and that's the birth of a child. This song leans into grief, but the structural shift of building a house, changing family dynamics perfectly mirrors the whirlwind of his fall, trying to anchor a top four pairing while completely shifting his life at home, balancing the exhaustion of fatherhood with the physical toll of his comeback. And just when his season was leveling out into a reliable defensive rhythm, he got a sudden, kind of emotional call up in January to replace an injured player on Team Sweden's Olympic roster. He went to Milan, proud to wear the 3 crowns, returned to a grueling stretch where he had to battle through another undisclosed foot injury. Poured everything he had into that Olympic dream and the Bruins' late season push. He even snapped a 24-game goal drought during April against Carolina. But by the time the playoffs rolled around, his body was kind of paying the price. 26 points in 67 games, not the flashy 53-point peak of a few years ago, but did feature 103 blocked shots. He's never going to be the loudest guy in the locker room, not the flashiest defenseman either, but he's a steady presence who allows his defensive partners to thrive. And that's his entire identity on the blue line. Whether he was put up with McAvoy or a rotating cast of younger depth guys, he played his structured shutdown role until his body kind of literally gave out at the end or near the end of the first round. Lindholm actually disclosed that he had a foot fracture that he suffered around Christmas. So something that was nagging him a little bit down the stretch. Started to heal up near the end, which doesn't seem to track, but he feels like he can get back to the final process and have a full summer of training normally, as it has been a while since he was able to have that. He's looking forward to having a full summer, being able to run and jump and do all that stuff he normally would do to get himself in shape for a long NHL season. That's bothering you. You're blocking shots. It certainly hindered him in the playoffs. It happened on a blocked shot against Vancouver. Missed a couple games. Same with, Elias Lindholm. Injured. Got the call to the Olympics. This season was kind of interesting in that way, where it was the compressed schedule, Olympic break, maybe guys pushing it a little too much in order to try to impress their nation's brasses. Coming in last summer, he kind of had to start from scratch, not only working his way back into game shape, but also under a new head coach in Marco Sturm. So I think the fresh start, second year under Sturm, is going to really be important for a lot of players, including both Lindholms, Nikita Zadorov, and Lindholm believes he has the ability to get his body to another level this summer, and it makes him more excited about next year. So I'm hoping for a nice bounce back season from Hampus here coming up. His song, Carlos' song, a master class kind of in quiet survival, navigating fatherhood, returning from a reconstructed knee, going to Milan, blocking over 100 shots on a bad foot. He played his song until the strings broke down, and that's exactly why he was able to bounce back and be an important part of this team, well liked, and hopefully bigger and better things for Hampus here next season. Coming up, we're going to take a look at how the Bruins are doing over at the World Championship. World Championship in Sweden. That's coming up here as the podcast continues. Missed calls and slow follow-ups are silent killers for businesses, and that's how money gets left on the table without people even realizing it. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the business communication system built so you never miss a call. Quo helps businesses keep every conversation organized by letting your entire team manage calls and texts from one shared number. No more dropped messages, missed opportunities, or disconnected communication. It's designed for how modern businesses actually operate. Everything lives in one clean thread. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. And AI summaries save serious time by logging calls and highlighting next steps automatically. Money's on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. All right, we're a few days deep into the World Championships at the moment, and a couple Bruins doing pretty well, a couple not so much. Right now, it's actually Switzerland, Finland, who are leading Group A with 9 points each. Canada leading Group B with 9 points, followed by Czechia and Matej Blumel over there. Team USA, the reigning gold medalists, with only one win to go with 2 losses so far with a -2 goal differential. When we look at individual players, teams, we look over at Czechia. Matej Blumel actually has 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points through 2 games played for Czechia at the moment. Don't forget, he is a Group 6 unrestricted free agent, I believe. The Bruins signed him after his fantastic season a couple years ago with the Texas Stars. He put up numbers in Providence. Didn't do as well in his time with the Boston Bruins, and was effectively, bumped by Alex Steeves, who was given more of an opportunity and a 2-year contract extension. We'll see if Blumel is in the mix for a re-up with the Boston Bruins, or if they will let him walk as a free agent, which, would kind of be a bit of a bummer, seeing as he did have a great season in Providence, and they could probably re-sign him for pretty cheap. But if he blows up at the Worlds here, there'll be a lot more attention. He only got 4 games in Boston with no points, but he did have a very good year down in Providence and was a very important player for the AHL squad. When it comes to Team Germany, Lukas Reichel playing for them. And so far, he's got 1 assist through 2 games. He was scratched for 1 game. He's got 1 assist, and he's averaging about 17 minutes, 41 seconds of ice time per game. He's got 3 shots on goal in those 2 games. So not exactly thriving, but Germany as a whole has only scored, 2 goals so far. So he's been in on half of their offense to date. That team really struggling here with a -9 goal differential. So positive for Reichel there that he's at least getting involved in a somewhat offense. Let's look at Team USA. The Bruins have a few players here for this squad, including James Higgins. He's played in all 3 games, has yet to record a point. He's got 2 shots on goal, averaging only about 12 minutes and 31 seconds. I've already had people in the comments talking about how he has yet to get a point. I mean, let's just be patient with this kid. He's still only 19 years old. He's finding his way, and there's still a lot of tournament left for him to make an impact. We also have Mason Lohrei playing on this team. He's appeared in all 3 games. No points to his credit, but he is a +2. He's got 2 shots on goal, averaging about 20 minutes of ice time per game for Team USA. And then, of course, there is Alex Steeves, who's got 3 games played, 1 goal on 7 shots, which is among the team leaders for Team USA. And he's averaging only 14 minutes and 10 seconds of ice time per game. So, Steeves, Reichel, trailing Blumel in terms of total output at the moment. Still looking for a breakthrough here from both Lohrei and Higgins for Team USA. Over at the Finland side of things, Jonas Korpisalo has played 1 game in this tournament so far. He made 9 saves on only 10 shots faced, so a 900 save percentage, goals against average of 1. Justus Annington of the Nashville Predators has started in the 2 games for them. He's got a 940 save percentage and a 150 goals against average. We also have Henri Jokiharju playing on this team. The defenseman has played in all 3 games. He has 1 assist. He's got 2 penalty minutes, +1, 3 shots on goal, averaging about 16 minutes and 33 seconds of ice time per game. That brings us over to Team Canada. Zach Whitecloud, like I mentioned, is playing on this team. 4 penalty minutes and a -1 so far with 5 shots on goal. Not especially encouraging. When it comes to our boy Fraser Minton, this guy tied with Blumel in scoring. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. He's got 2 penalty minutes, but he's a +2. Only 1 shot on goal so far for Minton. We'd like to see him get that shot rate up. He had been playing with Porter Martone of the Philadelphia Flyers. Martone was bumped up to the top line in the previous game. He's got 1 goal, 4 assists. This team is led in scoring by Macklin Celebrini, the captain, as well as Sidney Crosby, the co-captain, and Martone, each with 5 points apiece. So that could be a line that stays hot for Team Canada. But we'll keep an eye on Minton, of course. Kind of a light schedule today over in Switzerland, as none of the big teams are in action. You've got Latvia versus Austria, Italy versus Norway, Hungary versus Great Britain, and then Slovenia versus Slovakia. Bigger teams back in action tomorrow, as Czechia will take on Italy, USA will take on Germany, and then the other Bruins back in action on Thursday with Canada taking on Norway and Finland taking on Latvia. This is a tournament that runs pretty long. The group stage continues until the 26th, so another full week of group play. And then the quarterfinals will be on May 28th, the semis on May 30th, and the finals on May 31st, as well as the gold medal game. We'll keep track of all these Bruins here as the tournament goes on. All right. That's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Let me know how you feel about the Calgary Flames trade talk. Let me know what you thought of Hampus Lindholm this season, who you're watching over at the Worlds. Hit me up on social at Locked NHL Bruins. We got to over 1,000 followers on TikTok, which is great. Primarily posting there, Instagram, still on X a little bit. Please do subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Check out the Everyday Club. Watch the Locked On 24/7 podcast channel. Check out Locked On NHL Game Night. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you again here on the next episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.